Listen guys, if you're not running DSA campaigns right now, your Google Ads campaigns for lead generation are suffering badly. DSA isn't a lazy campaign type. In fact, it's actually the most powerful keyword research tool inside of Google Ads, and almost nobody uses it that way. So by the end of this video, you'll have one built inside your account that looks like this, feeding converting search terms into your main campaigns automatically. Here's what every other DSA tutorial gets wrong. They teach you to run DSA campaigns as the main campaign. Let Google pick the keywords, let Google write the headlines and just hope for the best. That's the lazy version. That's the version that literally burns your money. But the version that I'm about to build with you treats DSA as a feeder campaign. It's a discovery engine for converting keywords. It runs in the background finding search terms that you'd never have thought to bid on, and you take those terms and promote them straight into your main search campaigns, like the ones we built in parts 1 and 2. That's the trick, and almost nobody is doing it. So as we start building, my name is Michael Elliott. I've handled over $130 million in ad spend for businesses of all sizes, including some of the largest ones in the world. And DSA is used, as you've just seen in the screenshot there, in every single lead generation campaign that I manage. That one happened to have a 7.5 return on ad spend. It differs per business, but let's jump into actually building this out. When it comes down to building the campaign out, I'm going to build it from scratch with you. We head over to campaigns, hit new campaign, and we're again going to build this for Roto-Rooter, following the similar trend. We're going to choose create campaign without guidance again, and it's search that we're after. So we're going to hit search again. You'll have this same issue here, of course, with the conversion actions. If you have specific conversion actions in your ad account for lead generation, form submissions, CRM integration, if you've done it properly, that's coming later in the series. But you can select the right conversion actions here. I'm just going to skip through them because I don't need them. I'm big on naming conventions. So now, here we are. We're facing the same issues that you face when you build a normal standard search campaign. Google is trying to take away core areas and options from us. For DSA is a great example of this. So I want you to focus on what's important. When it comes down to bidding, we're going to, let's for now choose conversions. We'll leave it as a setting there. We can't bid for only new customers. I'm assuming you haven't got the list to do so. We deselect both the display and search partners network. Location options presents people in or regularly in your targeted location, as you can see there. And then when we want to target the location, because the campaign that we're running for Roto-Rooter is Manhattan, New York, in this particular case, we're going to go New York, include English. No, we don't run ads, and no, we don't plan to. Then when it comes down to audience segments, this is where we get to observe audiences. So we built them out previously, but you can browse and literally add like what are they actively researching or planning. It wouldn't really help from a plumber's perspective, but who are they? You know, when it comes down to this, home ownership status, they're already included, but you can go in there. If there's any that you think are important, like large employers, you know, very large employers, these sort of audiences we can add so that we can observe their performance. That's the key. Observe their performance. We don't want to target them. We want to observe how they perform and see later on for optimization purposes why. Now, if we hit more settings, you'd see a few different opportunities here. Now, there's one area that I like, which is the ad rotation for standard search, but I'm going to leave it as it is right now. And I'm going to leave it running all day as an ad schedule because as a plumber, emergency call-outs are where you make a lot of money. Once we've hit next, we don't want to turn on AI. We don't want to turn on AI Max. We just want to literally hit next. And on this section, keywords and asset generation, we just want to hit skip. And now it's going to ask us again here about adding details to match your keywords. We can just remove that and then hit budget here on the right-hand side. Let's get rid of the ads advisor. We don't need help. I'm your advisor. So the daily budget, let's say it was just 100. Well, let's say it was £20 a day, $20 a day. And we hit next. So now we have everything. You can give it a once over if you're, unsure in terms of this, like looking at the individual types. But to be honest, we're trying to effectively skip through this. There is a quicker way that you can do this. There is a quicker way that you can do this by duplicating a campaign and then doing it, but I'll show you that later on. Now, if we go to the all campaigns section, and we look at campaigns that are enabled, we'll now see, alongside our incredibly well-structured search campaign that we built out last time, a DSA campaign. But yet, right now, as it stands, there's nothing inside of it. There's no ad groups. It can't run. There's nothing that we can do. So before we hit anything else, we're just going to hit the campaign settings. Why is this important? Because the DSA build-up is allowing you to be able to feed the main campaign keywords, as I mentioned previously. Because it matches, it's not a campaign type almost. It's a feeder. Look at it as a feeder. It's a research tool. I've just released a video about the keyword planner and how criminal it is. Well, this will find you high intent phrases that you don't actually bid on. And DSA finds the term, you then add it to the main campaign and promote it in there and neg it inside of DSA. DSA is a hunter. It's a hunter-gatherer. It continues to keep hunting. And that's exactly what we're trying to do. So we come down here into settings and we will see here dynamic search ad settings. It's asking for the website. Now in the website section, we put the actual whole website URL, but I'm going to show you the granularity of this. So we hit save. Now we go back and inside of this campaign, we're now going to create an ad group. And this ad group creation, let's get rid of that. We select dynamic, change ad group type, continue. Now, this gives you a bunch of individual options. So 51, because we've put our URL in, it's already scanned it. It's got the United States, Hawaii, individual categories that it's decided to pull out based off of, you know, the URL and the business that we're promoting. But none of them are related really to what we've got. I mean, there's Canada inside of there, Ontario. What we want to do is you can hit all web pages and select all web pages and have a campaign that runs with all web pages on the site. Now, the issue with that, guys, is, well, what do you think the issue might be? Well, obviously, it's going to pick up your blog pages, your About Us pages. And we don't want to be paying for clicks for the office dog. We want to be paying for clicks for people who are actively going to search and convert. So this is the real important thing. Are we going after sales or leads? We covered all of that. Are we going after all pages? This is where we make the decision. And this is where a lot of people get it wrong. All web pages is fine if the website can be small. But in this particular case, if you look at what they do, we could have an abundance of individual, even DSA campaigns, plumbing, drains, commercial, water quality, etc., inside of one ad account. So what do? We choose specific pages and we use exact URLs. So I'm going to come back to this site, hit emergency plumbing. We take this emergency plumber. We add that as a keyword and we save and continue. Now, the description for this, I'm going to write well, let's just see if there's anything that we can grab here. And we hit, so the URL options are just the normal tracking templates. You'll have that on by default. Hit save and continue. Now we have an ad group. We need to rename it, the URL specifically, which is how I like to do it. So anything under emergency plumber that isn't already covered inside of our main campaign. So inside of our main campaign, as it stood right now, we actually have a search campaign for emergency plumbers, which is why it's a great sort of topic. We have 4 keywords here. We have emergency plumber New York. So let's just say we launch with that, which you wouldn't. You'd have more keywords. But if we launch with that as a standalone, we would be in a position where we were missing out on all of the other great search terms for emergency plumbers. And that's what the DSA campaign that we've just built actively stops from happening inside of here. It literally stops it from happening. We target one URL. So we do that. And now the options that we have are just to continue to create these DSA campaigns in this manner. And we can go through dynamic, change the ad group type. Let's go and pick another under the plumbing. So showers and bathtubs, water heaters. Let's go water heaters. Choose the URL here for the name. I'm not here to write creative copy. That's your job. I'm trying to show you account structure. Creative ad copy is so easy these days. You can use AI to become the best creative writer for you. You can research your industry and then tailor it after to your own needs. But what I'm trying to do is generate you inquiries here. So do you see? Now have a DSA campaign for emergency plumber and water heater. Now, if we go into the individual campaign settings for this, we can now change the bid strategy when it comes down to bidding. So at the minute, it's on maximize conversions, but we can still go in, select manual CPC, hit save, and then when it comes down to our actual opportunities inside of the campaigns, we control exactly what we bid on. So the default max CPC there was that. Well, if we know our average is this, we just set it at $2 a click and then allow it to go and pick that up. So where does the power come in? We've now built 2 individual ad groups, so I don't need to build more. But I'll show you where this can really, really speed things up. Now, I'm going to duplicate this. I'll be back with you when this is done. So it didn't take that long, and here we are with the New York DSA all web pages. You'll be able to see it here on the screen. So I duplicated it. So I literally just hit copy, hit edit, copy, and then hit paste, and it duplicated the DSA campaign. So inside of it now, we actually have exactly the same ad groups. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to actually just remove these, or we can just pause them. But I'm going to remove them. This is for speed, so we don't have to go through the whole building process again because you already know it. To avoid having like removed campaigns inside of your removed ad groups inside of there, you can just create a new campaign. But this is just a quicker way for me to demo. If I now add an ad group, and this time I'm going to select all web pages. So we're going to choose dynamic again, the ad group name, all web pages, default bids to $2, and we're going to select all web pages this time, right? All web pages within my website, $2 bid. Same thing again. Let's just go to their homepage and let's just grab these descriptions because your headlines are already dynamically created in DSA. So now we hit save, okay? What this can go a bit wild, and this is why I don't advise it. But watching this now, you might not be Roto-Rooter. You might not be in a position where you are, targeting the whole of Manhattan, New York, and you're in a position where you have 5 different services, 6 different services, and under each one there's 7 to 15 microservices. If you have that, then you want to be granular, the way that I showed you in the first section. I would probably go everything plumbing in a campaign, or branch them out into a couple of campaigns if there's things that are related, like dishwashers, washing machines, lower value things, and separate them from the larger stuff, leaks, emergency plumbing, etc. But what we have done now is effectively told Google, okay, go after all of these web pages. Well, as per the first campaign, and something that you'd want to do, there are a few things that we can do inside of this campaign that you still need to do that's based on traditional search, okay? We've started on manual CPC. I advise that, or max clicks with a cap, not target CPA for this. Get 30 conversions in a month, and then switch to target CPA. And treat your first 2 or 3 weeks of budget as research, not performance budget. You're trying to gauge it, but you've got to strictly monitor the search terms report to make sure that you get rid of any spam. And that's where I'm going here. So when it comes down to like keywords, we have negative keywords. So if I add a negative keyword, I could add a list. We can still add negative keywords to a DSA. That's not excluded from our optimizations here. So we want to do that. So I just asked it to give me 50 generalized ones: jobs, careers, vacancies, salaries, YouTube, Roblox, all of these things. You could save it to a list. So if you create a master list that's for plumbers, like anything plumber related, and you go wild and get Claude or get your any research tool you use, or your own brain to add these keywords before you see them, you could create a list. But I'm just going to save them so you can see them all in there. Now we have negative keywords, so we're cutting out some wastage. If you've been running campaigns for a while and you already have negatives, add them to the DSA because you know you don't want to bid on them. Give it some guidance. However, what we can also do is exclude URLs. And because this individual DSA campaign has targeted all of our web pages, that's important for Roto-Rooter. And I'm not going to do every single one, but this is one, this is another, this is another, this is another, this is another because of what we've got, that's another. There's a few, I'm just grabbing them, but there's more. And inside of the campaign, what you would do is you would create URL exclusions, okay? And we would do it, we can do it at campaign level because we've built this in the new campaign, and add them in here. So we're now adding URL exclusions. So we're excluding the plumbing basics. We're excluding about us because we don't want wishy-washy, no lack of intent phrases. We only want actual, and we're not selling their e-commerce gear, even though they can. They're evidently a big plumbing firm to do so. But yeah, like when it comes down to this, we don't want to serve in Canada. That's not what we're not trying to show the Canadian URL. So we add it all as exclusions. And you should look at DSA exclusions, URL exclusions, the same way as you look at negative keywords. This is going to stop to these individual pages on the website. So just like negative keywords stop the traffic, so does this URL exclusion. And if you had a key now, you'll have seen that you can actually create rules. So if a URL if there's a theme for your website where URL contains jobs a lot of the time, or careers, or obviously locations is one. If you want to exclude different locations, like let's say you wanted to exclude London, or you wanted to exclude Brooklyn, in this case would make sense, like you want to exclude Brooklyn, you could do all of those things if you have URLs on the website that match it. So that's the campaigns all locked and loaded exactly how you need them in two different options. And the two different options and ways to target them are granularity, which gives you the maximum output and how I build almost every DSA campaign. And then you have the all web pages, especially if you're a smaller lead generation company, pest control that focuses on one area, one specific service, or maybe 3 specific services, and you wanted to go the all web page route, you now know how to do it. This is part 3 of Google search builds. You now have the ability to build major campaigns. If you haven't watched the video already, it'll shortly appear here. But you're in a position where you can build properly structured search campaigns and properly structured DSA campaigns. The next step is to go into e-commerce businesses, etc., and then conversion tracking and so on and so forth. My name's Michael Elliott. If you've enjoyed this video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. And if you haven't seen the standard search build, it's up here on the left-hand side. I'll catch you in the next one.